When my daughter-in-law told me to leave the house, I did not scream. I did not cry. I just smiled. I smiled because I had already done all my crying the night before, in the shower, with the water running so hot it turned my skin red. I had to let the water run so no one would hear me. That was 3 years ago. And if you had told me, 20 years ago, on the day I watched my son Michael marry that beautiful girl with the dark curls, that one day she would stand at the front door holding it open for me, pointing out into the cold, I would have laughed in your face. But life has a funny way of humbling you. It teaches you that love is not always enough. And it teaches you that sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is walk away from the only home she has ever known, just to give her son a chance to keep his. My name is Margaret. Everyone calls me Maggie. I am 68 years old, and this is the story of how I lost my family, and then found myself in the silence that came after. I want to tell you about my son Michael. Michael was not a perfect child, but he was a good one. He had my husband's eyes, that deep brown color like coffee grounds, but he had my stubbornness. Lord, that boy could be hard-headed. When he was 10 years old, he decided he wanted to build a go-kart from scratch. He had no tools, no wood, no engine, but he had a picture from a magazine. He looked at his daddy and said, "I'm going to build this." My husband, Sam, just laughed and said, "Okay, son, let's go to the hardware store." That was Sam. He never said no. He never raised his voice. He was the quiet type, you know. The kind of man who showed love by fixing the leaky faucet without being asked, or by putting an extra blanket on the bed when he thought I was cold. Sam passed away 8 years ago. Heart attack, right there in his favorite armchair, watching the evening news. I still sit in that chair sometimes. I can still smell him there, a mix of sawdust and coffee. When Sam died, I thought I would die too. But Michael held my hand at the funeral and said, "Mama, you're coming to live with us." It wasn't a question. It was a command, just like when he was 10 years old building that go-kart. I didn't want to go. My whole life was in that house. The garden where Sam taught me to grow tomatoes. The kitchen where I burned the Thanksgiving turkey in 1994. But Michael insisted. He said he didn't want me to be alone. So I sold the house. I packed up my life into 12 cardboard boxes and a suitcase. And I moved into the small bedroom on the first floor of Michael and Lisa's house. At first, it was lovely. Lisa, my daughter-in-law, she was an angel in those early days. She would make me tea in the mornings. She would let me help with the children, my grandbabies, Tommy and little Sam. Oh, my grandbabies. Tommy was 4 when I moved in. He had a gap in his teeth and a laugh that sounded like a tiny donkey. Little Sam was just a baby. He had my husband's name and his nose. For 2 years, we were a real family again. I would cook dinner while Lisa worked at her computer. I would pick Tommy up from school. I would rock little Sam to sleep, just like I used to rock Michael. I thought I was helping. I thought I was the lucky one. But looking back now, I see the cracks. I see them so clearly. It was the little things. The way Lisa would tighten her lips when I gave Tommy candy before dinner. The way she would take the laundry out of my hands and say, "Maggie, please just rest. You're not a maid." She said it like a compliment. But it started to feel like a wall. I tried to give them space. I really did. On the weekends, I would stay in my room. I would read my books. I would look at pictures of Sam. I would listen to the sound of them laughing in the living room, and I would tell myself, "Maggie, don't be jealous. You had your time. This is their time." But a mother never stops being a mother. And Michael is my son. When I heard him arguing with Lisa about money, I listened. When I saw her scrolling on her phone instead of playing with the boys, I noticed. I kept my mouth shut. For a long time, I kept my mouth shut. But the silence in my room started to get heavier, and the walls started to feel closer. The trouble started, I think, with the television. It sounds silly, doesn't it? A grown woman crying over a television set. But it wasn't about the TV. It was about the sound. Michael bought a big new screen for the living room. He put the old one, my old one, the one I brought from my house, in the basement. I asked if we could put the old one in my room instead. Michael said, "Sure, Mama, no problem." But Lisa overheard. That night, I heard them whispering in the kitchen. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. Truly, I didn't. But the house was old and the walls were thin. "She wants to move furniture now," Lisa said. "Michael, your mother is slowly taking over every room. First the kitchen, now the bedroom. I can't even walk into the pantry without seeing her canned pickles." Michael laughed. He tried to keep it light. "Honey, they're just pickles." "It's not just pickles," Lisa said. "It's her. She's always here." Those words hit me like a punch in the gut. She's always here. I looked down at my hands. These old, wrinkled hands that had scrubbed her floors, washed her dishes, rocked her bobbies. I wanted to walk into that kitchen. I wanted to say, "I hear you, and I'm sorry for breathing your air." But I didn't. I went back to my room. I closed the door, and I cried into my pillow so quietly that no one could hear. The next morning, I tried harder. I tried to be invisible. I stayed in my room until noon. I didn't make coffee. I didn't touch the remote control. I just sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. Tommy came to find me. "Grandma," he said, pulling my hand, "come play cars." I looked down the hallway. Lisa was watching me. She had that tight smile on her face again. "Go on," she said. "He won't leave me alone until you do." I played cars with Tommy for an hour. But every time I laughed, I felt Lisa's eyes on the back of my head. It wasn't anger I felt from her. It was exhaustion, like I was a second child she didn't sign up for. I understood that. I really did. When I was a young wife, I didn't want my mother-in-law in my kitchen either. But I thought I was different. I thought I was helping, not hovering. The arguments started happening more often. Never in front of the boys, never yelling, but the air in that house got so thick you could cut it with a knife. One night, Michael sat on the edge of my bed. He looked tired. He had bags under his eyes the size of suitcases. "Mama," he said, "Lisa thinks maybe you should find a hobby outside the house." "A hobby?" I asked. "Yeah, like a bingo night, or a book club at the library, just some time away." I looked at my son. My beautiful boy, who used to hold my hand crossing the street. And I realized he wasn't asking me to find a hobby. He was asking me to leave the house so his wife could breathe. "Okay, baby," I said. "I'll look into it." I did look into it. I went to the senior center on Main Street. It was full of people who looked just like me, old, lonely, wearing clothes that didn't fit quite right. I played cards with a woman named Ruth who talked about her cats for 2 hours straight. I went home that night feeling emptier than before. I walked in the door, and the house was quiet. The boys were asleep. Lisa was watching TV. She looked up at me and said, "How was it?" "Fine," I said. "It was fine." I stood there in the hallway for a minute. I wanted to tell her that I missed my husband. I wanted to tell her that I was scared of dying alone in that tiny room. I wanted to tell her that I wasn't trying to steal her life. I was just trying to hold on to the scraps of mine. But instead, I just said, "Good night, Lisa." She said, "Good night, Maggie." Maggie. Not Mom, not Grandma. Just Maggie. Like I was a neighbor who had walked in by mistake. The day it happened, it was raining. Not a soft rain, a hard, angry rain that hit the roof like tiny fists. I was in the kitchen making pancakes. The boys loved my pancakes. I used a little cinnamon and vanilla, just like my mama taught me. I was flipping a pancake in the air when Lisa walked in. She was holding a piece of paper. She didn't say, "Good morning." She didn't say, "The boys slept well." She just put the paper on the table and said, "We need to talk." I turned off the stove. My hands were shaking, but I hid them in my apron. "What is it, honey?" "It's a list," she said, "of apartments, senior apartments. There's one on Maple Street that has a waiting list, but I called and they have a vacancy next month. I looked at the paper. I didn't pick it up. I just looked at it. A vacancy, I repeated. Yes, she said. Maggie, I can't do this anymore. I can't be a mother to 2 little boys and a grown woman. I can't walk around my own house in my underwear. I can't fight with my husband every night about whether you folded the towels wrong. Her voice was shaking. She wasn't being mean. That was the worst part. She was being honest, and honesty cuts deeper than cruelty. I know I'm a burden, I said quietly. I didn't say that, she said, but she didn't say I wasn't either. I asked her where Michael was. He knows, she said. He doesn't want to do this, but he knows it's right. You need your own life, Maggie. You need friends your own age. You can't just live in my house waiting to die. Waiting to die. Those were the words she used. I wasn't waiting to die. I was waiting for my grandson to take his first steps. I was waiting for the azaleas to bloom in the spring. I was waiting for Michael to come home from work so I could see his face. But she was right about one thing. I didn't have a life. I had their life, and I was just a guest in it. I nodded slowly. I took off my apron. I folded it neatly over the back of the chair. Okay, Lisa, I said. I'll go. She looked relieved. That's what broke my heart the most, the relief in her eyes. She had been carrying this guilt for so long, and finally letting it out, finally saying leave, made her feel lighter. I'll help you pack, she said. No, I said. I'd like to do it alone. I walked to my room. I closed the door. And then I did something I hadn't done since I was a little girl. I knelt down by the side of my bed, and I prayed. I said, God, please tell me what I did wrong. Please tell me why I am so hard to love. The room was silent. The rain kept falling. I didn't call my sister, Clara. I didn't call my friends from church. I was too ashamed. I was 65 years old, and I was being evicted by my own blood. Not because I was mean, not because I was cruel, but because I was in the way. That night, Michael came into my room. He was crying. Mama, I'm so sorry, he said. Don't be sorry, baby, I said. You have to take care of your wife. That's your job now. That's what a good husband does. But you're my mama, he whispered. And I always will be, I said. But I can't be your responsibility. I was never supposed to be your responsibility. We sat on the bed together, just like we did when he was a boy. I stroked his hair. He fell asleep with his head in my lap, just like he used to do during thunderstorms. I didn't sleep at all. I just watched him breathe, and I memorized the sound. The next morning, the sun came out. I made one last pot of coffee. I poured a cup for Lisa. I set it on the table, next to her laptop. She came down in her robe, saw the cup, and stopped. Maggie. It's okay, I said. I called the apartment. I'm going to look at it today. She started to cry then. Not loud sobs, just tears rolling down her cheeks. I never wanted to hurt you, she said. I know you didn't, I said. You just wanted your house back. I understand that. I was young once too. We stood there in the kitchen, 2 women who loved the same man, both of us crying into our coffee cups. It wasn't a fight. It was a surrender. But the real moment, the moment I will never forget, came when I was walking out the door. I had my suitcase in one hand, my purse in the other. Tommy and little Sam were at school, thank God. I didn't think I could say goodbye to their faces. Michael was at work. He had said his goodbye the night before in the dark. It was just me and Lisa. She held the door open for me. I stepped out onto the porch. The air was cold, clean. It smelled like wet grass. Maggie, she said. I turned around. What is it, Lisa? She hesitated. She looked at me, really looked at me, for maybe the first time in a year. And then she said it. Don't come back. Not we'll visit, not I'll call you. Don't come back. I nodded. I didn't say, this is my son's house. I didn't say, "Those are my grandchildren." I just nodded. "I love you, Lisa," I said. "Take care of my boys." And I walked to my car. I put my suitcase in the back seat. I sat in the driver's seat for a long time. I looked at the house, the green shutters, the white fence, the swing on the porch where I used to read to Tommy. Then I started the engine, and I drove away. The apartment on Maple Street was small. It was one room, really. A kitchen the size of a closet, a bathroom with a shower that only ran cold if someone flushed the toilet upstairs, a bedroom with a window that looked out at a brick wall. It was mine. The first night, I sat on the floor. I didn't have a couch yet. I didn't have a table. I had a suitcase, a box of dishes, and the photograph of Sam that I kept on my nightstand. I sat there on the hard floor, and I let the silence wash over me. No children screaming. No television blaring. No Lisa sighing in the next room. Just me, Maggie, alone. I thought I would feel relief. But I didn't. I felt shame. Deep, hot shame that burned in my stomach. What kind of mother gets kicked out of her son's house? What kind of grandmother doesn't get to tuck her grandbabies in at night? I must have done something wrong. I must have been too needy, too loud, too present. I called my sister Clara that night. Clara is 5 years older than me. She lives in Florida. She has a tan and a boyfriend named Jerry who wears gold chains. She doesn't have children. She never wanted them. "Maggie," she said when I told her what happened. "Good for you." "Good for me," I said. "Clara, I'm homeless." "You're not homeless. You have an apartment, and you're free." "Free?" I was crying now. "I lost my family." "No, honey," Clara said very softly. "You lost a house. A family that wants you doesn't lock you out. A family that loves you doesn't hand you a list of apartments like a grocery list." Clara is blunt. She always has been. But that night, her bluntness was the only thing that kept me from falling apart. "You spent 20 years taking care of everyone else," she said. "Maybe it's time you took care of yourself." I hung up the phone. I looked around the empty apartment. And for the first time in a very long time, I asked myself a question I had never asked before. What do I want? Not what does Michael need? Not what does Lisa expect? Not what is best for the boys? What do I, Maggie, want? I didn't know the answer. I had been a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a widow. But I hadn't been just Maggie since 1972, when I was a girl with long hair and a record player. So I decided to find out. The first week, I didn't leave the apartment except to buy milk and bread. I was embarrassed. I thought everyone could see the failure written on my face. The lady at the checkout counter asked me how my day was, and I almost burst into tears. The second week, I went for a walk. There was a park near the apartment, a little green space with a pond and some ducks. I sat on a bench and watched the ducks for an hour. No one talked to me. No one needed me. And for a little while, that felt okay. Then Ruth found me. Remember Ruth, from the senior center, the one with the cats? She saw me sitting on that bench, and she sat right down next to me without asking. "Maggie," she said, "you look like you lost your best friend and found a $10 bill in the same day." I laughed. It was the first time I had laughed in weeks. "I don't know what I look like," I said. "You look like someone who needs a slice of pie," Ruth said. "Come on, my car is over there." Ruth took me to a diner called the Blue Plate. It was the kind of place where the coffee was always hot and the waitresses called you hun. She ordered 2 slices of apple pie with vanilla ice cream. "My son left me too," Ruth said, taking a bite of pie. I looked up. "What?" "Not physically," she said. "Emotionally. He moved to California 10 years ago. He calls me on my birthday, that's it. I spent 30 years wiping his nose, driving him to soccer practice, paying for his college, and now I get a phone call once a year." "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't be," Ruth said. "I learned something, Maggie. I learned that children are guests in our lives. We raise them, we love them, and then they leave. That's the deal. That's the contract. They don't owe us anything. But I lived with them, I said. I thought I was helping. You were helping, Ruth said. But you were also clinging. I did the same thing. I moved to California to be near my son. He moved away from me within 6 months. I got the message. I came back here, and I got a cat or 5 cats. I sat in that diner with Ruth for 3 hours. We talked about our husbands, our regrets, our bad knees. And for the first time since Sam died, I felt like a person again. Not a mother, not a widow, just a person. That night, I went back to my little apartment. I didn't cry. I made a list. Not a list of apartments like Lisa gave me. A list of things I wanted to do. 1, learn to knit. 2, go to the movies by myself. 3, buy a plant and keep it alive. 4, stop apologizing for existing. It was a small list. Pathetic, maybe, to some people. But to me, it was a lifeline. I started with the plant. I went to the nursery and bought a little succulent. The girl at the counter said it was hard to kill. Perfect, I said. That's my kind of plant. I named him Sam. Every morning I watered him. I talked to him. I turned him toward the sun. And watching that little plant grow, watching those tiny green leaves reach for the light, it gave me a reason to get out of bed. The knitting was harder. I tried to make a scarf. It looked like a tangled mess of yarn that a cat had fought with. But Ruth came over once a week, and we sat together in my tiny living room, and we knitted. She taught me how to count the stitches, how to fix a dropped loop. "You're making a scarf for a giraffe," she said one day, holding up my long, uneven creation. "It's a blanket," I said. "It's a disaster," she said, laughing. And we laughed so hard that tea came out of my nose. That was the moment I realized something important. I had spent so many years trying to be useful to Michael and Lisa. I thought love meant being helpful, making pancakes, folding towels. But love doesn't have to be useful. Love can just be sitting in a room with a friend, laughing until tea comes out of your nose. The phone calls from Michael started coming less often. At first, they called every day. Then every week. Then every month. Lisa didn't get on the phone anymore. That was fine. I didn't expect her to. I talked to the boys sometimes. Tommy would tell me about his baseball games. Little Sam would just breathe into the phone. He was too young to talk, but I knew he was there. I missed them. God, I missed them. There were nights when the silence in that apartment was so loud that I thought my head would explode. I would hold Sam's photograph to my chest and rock back and forth, just to feel something. But I didn't call them. I didn't beg to come back. Because Ruth was right. The contract was broken, and you can't force someone to want you. 1 year passed. Then 2. I learned to knit a scarf that actually looked like a scarf. I bought a second plant. I joined a book club at the library. The book club was full of women like me. Women who had been left, widowed, divorced, forgotten. We read romance novels and mystery novels, and sometimes sad books that made us cry in public. We didn't judge each other. One night, we were reading a book about a woman who traveled to Italy alone. "I could never do that," said a woman named Helen. "I'd be too scared." "Why?" asked Ruth. "What's the worst that could happen? You get lost. You're lost already if you stay home." That hit me. You're lost already if you stay home. I was 67 years old. I had a small social security check, a little savings from Sam's life insurance. And I had never seen the ocean. Sam and I always talked about going to the beach. We said we would go when he retired. He never retired. So I went. I packed a small bag. I got on a bus. I went to the coast. It was a gray day when I got there. The sky was the color of pewter. The wind was cold. I took off my shoes. I walked down to the water. The sand was cold between my toes. I stood at the edge of the ocean. And I screamed. Not a scared scream, not a sad scream. A loud, angry, joyful scream. I screamed for Sam, who never got to see it. I screamed for the years I wasted feeling guilty. I screamed for the little girl I used to be, who deserved better. The water washed over my feet. It was freezing. And I laughed. I laughed because I was alive. I laughed because I was standing in the ocean, alone, at 67 years old, and I wasn't afraid anymore. I stayed until the sun went down. I watched the sky turn pink and orange and purple. And I said out loud to no one, "Sam, I did it. I made it to the ocean." I don't know if he heard me, but I felt him. For just a second, I felt his hand in mine. I am 68 now. I still live on Maple Street. My succulent, Sam, is big and healthy. I have 4 other plants now. I named them all after people I love. Michael came to visit me last month. Alone. He brought me a cake from the bakery, a lemon cake, my favorite. We sat at my little kitchen table. He looked older. He had gray in his beard. "Mama," he said, "Lisa says sorry." "Does she?" I asked. "She does. She wants you to come for Christmas." I stirred my tea. I thought about it. A house full of noise, wrapping paper on the floor. Tommy and little Sam, who are big now, 10 and 8. "I'll come for dinner," I said, "but I won't stay the night. I have my own bed now." Michael nodded. He looked relieved. But he also looked sad. Sad that his mother had her own bed that wasn't under his roof. "Mama," he said, "I should have stood up for you." "No," I said. "You should have stood up for your marriage. You did the right thing. It just hurt." "Does it still hurt?" he asked. I looked around my little apartment. At the books, the plants, the knitted blanket, the photograph of Sam on the wall. "Sometimes," I said, "but not like it used to." People ask me if I forgive Lisa. And I tell them yes. I forgave her the day she held the door open for me. Because I saw the fear in her eyes, the fear of losing her husband to his mother, the fear of losing herself in her own kitchen. I was once a young wife too. I understand the territory. But I also forgive myself. I forgive myself for thinking that love meant losing myself. I forgive myself for shrinking, for apologizing, for being quiet when I should have spoken. Here is what I learned, sitting in this tiny apartment on Maple Street. I learned that you cannot pour from an empty cup. I spent 20 years pouring everything I had into my son and his family. And when the cup was empty, they didn't know what to do with me, because I had forgotten to fill myself up. You have to fill your own cup first. Not with things, not with money. With quiet, with peace, with walks by the pond, with pie and friends and bad knitting. I am not angry anymore. I am not bitter. I am just grateful. Grateful for the silence, grateful for the loneliness, because in the loneliness, I finally met myself. And you know what? Maggie is pretty good company. If you are listening to this, and you feel like you are in the way, if you feel like you are a burden to the people you love, please hear me. You are not a burden. You are a tree that has given all its fruit, and now it is time to rest. You do not have to be useful to be loved. You just have to exist. And your existence is enough. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, yet please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.